Right. So, sorry for the rough start, everybody. This is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine, happy Easter Sunday morning, about 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. I have on the line with me a very cool dude who is going to introduce himself, and we're going to chat for a while, and hopefully you will enjoy this. And as always, like and subscribe, join the Discord, go buy this young man's book. He needs to feed his family. He's got 17 kids. They are starving, so help this man out. Jeez, you lackers. Anyway, Ari, introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about, good sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for having me here. My name's Ari. Nice to meet you all, even though I can't see you. But I'm the creator of Just Roll With It. I got a little copy right here, and a copy back there that John's pointing to right now. And Just Roll With It is essentially a habit journal combined with a role-playing game. So it's this kind of immersive experience where you go on a personal growth journey of some sort. You kind of pick which area of your life you want to focus on. And then the book sort of facilitates a whole bunch of different learning sort of experiences where it teaches you about yourself and about science and about different ways to sort of shift behavior while kind of being this fun, immersive, quirky game at the same time.
It is awesome. And I first came across this a couple of months ago when I think you reached out to me on my channel via my email, mrmeanspeaks@gmail.com. And you said, hey, I make this cool little game if you wouldn't mind looking at it. And he sent me I think it was the pre-Kickstarter version.
Yeah.
So it had a couple of C-page XX, which is fine. I mean, that's what review copies are, right? And I was really enamored with it because the art was very quaint. I struggle with habits. I'm pretty sure I'm autistic. I have a 8-year-old autistic boy who's high on the spectrum, but he's loving, he's wonderful. And my wife, there are mannerisms from both of us that are exactly the same. And so, while there's no proof that autism is genetic, there is proof that it appears to be, it comes from the male genome. So not to say that it's my fault, but my son was born autistic, probably because I'm partially autistic, and I'm pushing 60, so I've learned to cope in society and stuff like that. So, but I have a lot of extreme autism. Like everything on my desk has to be a certain way, and it's just weird. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. What was the inspiration? Because you're not an RPG game designer, correct?
No.
What's your background? You went to college?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Actually, for college, I did neuroscience. And then for my master's, I did organizational psychology. So essentially, I spent the last 5 or so years working at Amazon in sort of like employee research, where I was basically helping people within Amazon build habits and learn leadership skills and, just basically become better managers, better employees, whatever it might be, which I know is funny to say. Amazon doesn't always have the best rap in terms of caring for its employees. So it is funny that I was doing that there. And I will say, there was a reason I left at the end of the day. But yeah, my background is really kind of more in taking a look at the human mind and sort of what it takes for us to become better versions of ourselves in whatever way we might want to. But I think like that was always one side of things that I was very interested in. But I noticed that as I started like spending more time in that field, working in it, I wasn't really applying any of the ideas I was learning and helping others learn to myself. And I was just like, why is that? Like, I should be living my best life. I should be like super on top of my shit, and I'm not really. And so then I started like just trying to troubleshoot for myself a little bit more, like, okay, I know these ideas, but there's clearly a gap between knowing something and implementing it in your life. So how can I kind of bridge that gap for myself? How can I make it a little bit more fun and engaging? And then I started messing around with ideas like this. And I'm not like a game designer, but I have obviously loved various RPG games in the past, and I'm like very into fantasy writ large. So I kind of wanted to embed something within a fantasy realm that can kind of help me close that gap. And that was kind of the inspiration. So I didn't have any experience in game design, but I just started writing and started play testing, and I got a bunch of my friends to try out various things, and then I ended up with this.
That's awesome. Did you know? So the Kickstarter was successful.
The Kickstarter has yet to launch.
Oh, okay. I thought it already. So that's a production copy you have in your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the early samples I got from the manufacturer, which we don't need to get into this right now, but as I'm sure everyone in your audience is aware, the tariffs might be
scaring everybody to death. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure that out right now. But no, that's part of the reason I'm trying to connect with a lot of people like you is the Kickstarter's coming up. It's launching. Actually, this will be the first time I'm giving the solid launch date. So it's May 27th.
Awesome. So right around the corner.
Yep.
That is awesome. And from what I can tell, and I'm not very smart, so let's keep it straight there. From what I can tell, you've had very good reception to it so far.
I mean, there's been a handful of people, Lord Gwydion, talking about games, solitary RPG. I've connected with a number of folks in this space, and they've all seemed to really enjoy it so far. And some of them did just more of a quick short review, looking through it, kind of giving their general impressions. But like Lord Gwydion was playing it for a month or so and seems to be really enjoying it. So yeah, it's been really great to see people actually pick it up and run with it. And I know it's also it's a bit of a weird sort of target audience that we're going for, because it really has to be people who are both kind of nerdy and love fantasy and RPG games, and then also people who want to use that for self-improvement, personal development, whatever you might be. So I know it's not for everyone. Some people don't want to mix the kind of the fun and the work, work.
Yeah.
Totally fair. So
yeah, and but here's the thing. What I think you're onto here is a model, right? So just roll with it. You've got, so we'll say just roll with it, fantasy, right? Because this is the fantasy version, right? You're in this, you wake up in front of a portal and you walk through it, right? And then there's a goblin and a traveling salesman and blah blah blah, which is awesome. But diversity is king, right? So just roll with it, sci-fi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Just roll with it, horror. Just roll with it, pulp. The door is kind of open to all the genres that you could put out and do it as a print on demand on Drive-Thru-RPG. So there's no physical. 100%. Yeah. So hey, that's free. I take that and run with it. I don't charge for that extra business savvy.
No, and because the sort of the mechanism here is there's a little map.
Right.
You're familiar with
grid.
Your audience might not be. Then you kind of explore a different space on the map each day, and then based on where you land, various things will happen.
Right.
But that idea in itself is very modular, right? You could swap out different maps, you could swap out different encounters, and they could take place in different settings, different realms.
Could be a star sector of a map, and your ship goes. Yeah.
100%.
What grabbed me about it is the writing and just the thought of, as the old saying goes, just right. Yeah. I mean, just I can't tell you how many notebooks floating around everywhere. I have a giant stack of work Post-its, that I scribble, and there's another one right here. I mean, I have little notebooks. I go to Borders and they sell that 6-pack for $10 of little, and I give them out to my players. I run a bi-weekly tabletop RPG, and I encourage them to write in it, to take notes, because at any time I can point to them and go, Ari, what happened last session? And you'll see the players in a trying to remember, and I'm like, I gave you a notepad. I gave everybody a tablet. I gave everybody a little 7-inch tablet, Android tablet. They were leftovers from work that we were recycling, and I redid them. I I'm a big fan of recycle, reuse. I think, we've got one planet. Let's take care of it. I'm half Native American, so that's part of my upbringing. But, it's just a little Android tablet, and I put
Yep.
all the books on here they need. There's a notepad on here. There's no excuse, right? I've given them all the tools they need and I'm just like, and so now we're over a year into our game. We play bi-weekly, sometimes weekly, depending on schedules, but we're bi-weekly. And it's so neat to see everybody break out pen and paper and start writing. Even if it's on a tablet and they're writing, it's still writing. You know what I mean? Or typing. And it's that creative. And I think it keeps your mind sharp. I have a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia that runs in my family. So, I think one of the things that's very important from a science standpoint, and my wife is a biochemist, scientistic. I don't know, she's weird. We've been married 16 years, though, but I love her. She's an accountant by trade because up here in Minnesota, there's no science work where we live. So her AA degree is in accounting, business accounting. So that's what she's a big director for YMCA, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about her? I love her, I kid. But
sure you do.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mean has to love somebody. She's Mrs. Mean. That should tell you about her. But my point is, though, is I think it keeps the mind sharp, right? No matter how we interact with words, using them, writing them for posterity, for your own needs or whatever is just a creative outlet. We all have some form of creative outlet that we have to have, right? For our brains to stay healthy and active. And when we lose that or we stop using it, I think we start to deteriorate and decay. And so,
100%.
Yeah. And so I think
it's also just, go for it.
I was just going to say your book, for those people that are in that fantasy realm or enjoy that type of writing, creative writing, it kind of gives them a vehicle. It's a journal, right? It's got blank pages in it. You can fill it out and you can add more to it, especially like I have the PDF. So if I need more pages, print, I can add more pages. Because, sometimes you get in that spot where you're like, you just start writing and next thing you know, you got 20 pages. I think it happens to everybody, and so the nice thing of this being a PDF, or at least for me, being a PDF, I can print more physical pages or, open it up in Adobe and start typing. You get what I'm saying? And so I think to add different genres that will appeal to a wider audience would be a great business move on your part to catch people who are into that. There's a huge horror fan base. There's a huge sci-fi, pulp, all those different genres that, and having it as a PDF and, your website's very clean, and I'll put a link in the doobly-doo on YouTube so that people can find you and stuff. I also put all your socials on Moonbeam so that people can reach out to you. So, yeah, so definitely.
Well, thank you.
Part of what I do is I try to help the little guy, and you're a little guy, and I think you have a really innovative and unique product that there's nothing like it in the market that I'm aware of. So thank you for making it.
Yeah, no, I guess a couple quick things. Like one, the journal, like all hard copies of the journal, both on the Kickstarter and on my online store, are going to come with the PDF version as well, because I want people to do exactly what you did and just print off as many extra pages as they want, because I could only put in 90 or so actual kind of blank pages of writing in this version. So that's definitely something that is top of mind. And then going back to the kind of like different genre things, I'm also planning to expand this, and I'm working on a couple of other books right now, because so there's an actual company behind this journal that I built, that the sort of vision is long-term to generate a lot of similar products. And what I'm working on right now is sort of like, there's going to be different versions of this journal that are targeted at specific areas of life that people might be struggling with.
Oh, nice.
So like there's one that I'm working on right now that is more focused on alcohol, and like it's kind of geared towards people who, like me, never really super struggled with it, but like always felt like it didn't necessarily have a super positive influence in our life, and like kind of wanted to reevaluate its role, but I was never sure, like, how would my life look if I stopped drinking altogether? Like, that just seems hard and weird. So the idea is kind of like going through the same mythical, fantastical journey with quests and different activities, but focused on just trying to readjust your relationship and assess, like, where is it serving you? Where isn't it? Like, how do you want to move forward? And that's that. So that's like one idea of the next sort of iteration of this journal. But I coming back to your initial point, I really do love the idea of just like changing up the theme. Like, who knows? I haven't really yet designed a theme for this next one, so maybe I'll make it sci-fi or something. I also love sci-fi stuff.
Yeah,
Why not?
So, how long has this process taken you? From the day you thought, I'm going to make this journaling product, to going to Kickstarter? Has it been years, months? Has it been boiling?
It's about a year.
Really?
About a year.
From thought to implementation?
Yeah, more or less.
That's awesome.
And I mean, yeah, it's funny. I don't have them next to me, but if I did, I could pull out my other iterations, because I printed out multiple versions, and it started out like about this thin, and like had just like a couple of core mechanics where you'd roll a dice to determine an outcome, and then like so I've there's been about like 5 distinct books that are all totally different from each other. So it's been a lot more work than just writing the content for this one book. But I'm really trying to make this my it's an ambitious goal, but I'm trying to make this my full-time thing.
I think it's
working on all these products and actually see if I can build something beautiful and build a community that wants to support it. So yeah,
I think you're well on your way, good sir. I really do. And targeting, alcoholism. Let's, in our relationship with it. I'm clean and sober well over 10 years. So, and I struggled with it, being Native American, part of the genetics is I lack the enzyme to metabolize alcohol. A lot of people, I hate to say it, but white people or Caucasians have a stronger enzyme in their liver and stuff that helps them metabolize that stuff. And I don't have that. So one beer for me is like 6 for you. Or one beer for you is like 6 for me. And so I don't drink. I become a different person. Yeah. I'm a violent person. I'm not a good person to be around. And I was in law enforcement for 10 years. So those two combinations don't mix. And so I appreciate people like you that think about people like us, that have those problems. And we all have, for lack of a better word, demons that we're dealing with, right? We're going through a divorce. We have a shitty job. We have health issues with our loved ones, family, wife, husband, whatever, parents. We all have stress in our lives. And there needs to be, I'm a firm believer that there has to be a positive influence in your life somewhere. And I do believe that positivity comes from you. You can surround yourself with positive people, which makes it easier. But we all have somebody who's toxic in our lives. We all do. It's human nature. It's just how the human brain works. We need the yin and yang. We need the positive. We need the negative. And so I think things like this, just roll with it, is a positive thing where you can, whatever your troubles are or whatever your apprehensions or your fears are, you can go between those pages and you can confront it. You can shy away from it. You have an option to deal with it in the way that is comfortable for you. And that's what role-playing games are for a lot of people. I'm a veteran. I was at active duty in Grenada and Desert Storm, and so I've taken human lives. That's not something that I'm proud or happy about, but I did it because it was what was required of me. And I've been through many, many, many hours of therapy. With psychiatrists and stuff, and dealing with the fact of taking a human life. It's funny, I was a federal agent for 10 years and never had to shoot anybody. Deployed twice, shot lots of people. It is just how it works, and it is the way that it goes. And having resources like this that I can retreat into and deal with on my own way is a positive influence on my life. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but I think if you have that retreat or that safe place that happy place that you can go to, and it makes you less angsty or angry or violent or melancholy or sad or depressed, then that is a really good thing. And that's something, that's joy that you're bringing to somebody. And so thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for being so open about your story and sharing it. That means a lot to me. And
I'm an open book,
so
man.
yeah.
I'm just a big, I'm 5'10", 250 pounds. I'm just a big nerd.
Well, it's just great to hear that this book like can provide an avenue for something like that. And that was really something I was trying to balance while creating this, was making enough structure that people don't feel totally lost in the woods,
right?
But also at the same time being very clear that this is your journey,
right?
This is your journey of growth, of healing, whatever it might be. And there's no like, if you want to twist the rules a bit and play it in a slightly different way, you can. Like, it's totally chill. There's, you know, at the end of the day, there is a progress system, but it's your honor. You do what you want,
right?
And also like. Going back to some of the stuff you were saying earlier, just about how like everyone has their own demons and stuff, that not to give away too much of the plot, because there is actually like a kind of unfolding plot that happens, but it does kind of trigger you to sort of confront some of like the common kind of archetypical demons that might arise for someone. So it's a gentle nudge to be like, here, what about this thing? Like, here's a little story and narrative about something that you may or may not relate to, but think about it a little bit.
And it's very well written as well, you know, and the art in it is it's adorable. First of all, there's no piece of art that I saw in it, because you did send me the finished copy, and that's the one I've been playing with. There's no art in there where it's like, ooh, you know, or taboo or anything like that. It's all, you know, gentle fantasy. I don't want to say, you know, unicorns and rainbows, because, you know, there's like a couple pictures of goblins. They're kind of, you know, the cute, funny goblins, but they still have that air of menace to them. So I don't think there's any triggers or negative triggers in there that would affect anybody emotionally, unless you have a rational fear of goblins or minotaurs or whatever. But that's, you know, again, maybe that's why you're journaling, to try and get over it. So it's a great resource.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the kind of just the whole thing was to like make it a gentle path of growth. Like, it's encouraging you to grow and to become something new, but it's not like all like, I've been very allergic to this sort of like toxic productivity hustle culture. Like, yeah, you need to work hard sometimes, but like it doesn't always have to be like
go
full and like exactly. Like, there's a pathway. It's maybe a narrow one, but there's one that feels good and that is gentle and that is sweet and fun and silly and playful. Like that, I think that exists, and that's what this book is really trying to remind people.
Yeah, you know, there's like, I went through an experience not too long ago, a year ago. I've been with the company that I'm currently at for 1 year. April 1st was my 1 year anniversary. But the company,
are you still there?
I'm still there. Yeah. Well, as of Friday. Now, I don't know. Maybe Monday. Hey, I can't log in. What's going on? No, they've been pretty good to me. I get to work from home. And of course that gives me a lot of flexibility with my son, because he has good and bad days, of course. And, you know, you stub your toe, you say shit, and you move on. He stubs his toe, and it's a meltdown, and, you know, he can't do anything for the rest of the day until he gets over it. So there's challenges, right? And you know, it's part of living, and it's part of being a parent, and part of being a caregiver. But my last job, they laid off 3 out of my 5 staff, you know, that I managed, and then they gave me a huge project and said, get it done. And I was like, how can I do it? You just took over half my staff away. And they're like, well, figure it out. And I was like, wow, you know what I did? You know, so I was already unsatisfied with the position because of the changes that they had enacted. And so I threw my resume out there, and I got 3 job offers in 2 days. You know, so clearly I have a set of skills that someone, you know, wants. And so I interviewed with 2 of them. One of them wasn't worth pursuing, but the other 2 were really good, and they had good good benefits and, you know, yada, yada. And so I chose this job, and then they called me back the next day and said, we love you. It's yours, you know, if you want it. And I said, okay. I said, put me an offer letter and an email, you know, because nowadays, you know, it used to be back in the day, you'd wait for that FedEx with the offer letter. I don't know if you're old enough to remember those, but, you know, now it's all emails, you know, and so I got the email with the offer letter from HR, and I accepted. And so I went in to work the next day. It happened to be a Friday or Thursday. It was a Thursday, and after I'd had the big conversation with the big wigs about, well, just get it done, and I said, okay, I figured out a way how to do it, and they were like, oh, okay, well, when are you going to start? And I said, I'm not. And they said, excuse me? I said, I quit. You've pushed me into a corner. I asked for a pay raise. I've been here 5 years, never had a pay raise. You know, been here 5 years. I've improved the quality of this environment 100-fold. You know, I have a relationship with all of our vendors and everybody that, you know, people love me. It's because I'm straight shooter and people like to work for me. I like to think that I bring out the best in people, and you guys don't recognize that as management. So there's no need for me to spin my wheels here any further. I will go somewhere else where my talents are appreciated. And I walked out the door.
Beautiful.
You know, and it's been a year. They've gone through 3 different managers. They hired another permanent manager. He quit a week after the job. And I had a recruiting agency reach out to me Wednesday of last week for this same job. And I said, no, thank you. So I just think it's, you know, cherish what you have, work hard, but take time for yourself and let the people around you know that you appreciate them and you care about them, and we'll make the world a better place. And I think products like Just Roll With It facilitate that. I really do. I strongly believe that. You know,
I mean, that's what I'm currently betting my career on. I know it's not going to be an easy path, but it's one I just feel like deeply called to and always have. And like, just the beauty of like play and games and all of that, I don't think can be like oversold. It's just the ability to. I think that was it brings us back one point that you brought up earlier. You were saying like you don't know if there's anything else out there like this.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of things that are similar, which I found out pretty late in the game.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit. But I looked into them, and I think the thing that that really sort of sets this apart is that it's like it's a story, it's an experience, and there's like a lot of the other things that exist, you know, might have like a sort of dice rolling mechanic, or they might have some cool illustrations or something, but I haven't yet seen anything that like uses story and narrative and sort of like myth and combines that with play to actually facilitate growth. Like there's, I don't know, like have you seen like Habitica or any of those apps?
Yeah, there's a lot of like choose your own adventures, but and some of them even encourage some form of journaling, right? Of writing,
Right.
You know, write out what you did. Of course, there's play by post, which is still a big thing even in this day and age. Right. I mean, I'm from the days of the early internet with BBSs. You know, message boards where you would okay. Basically someone would be like the narrator, and everybody would just, and then you'd have a week or whatever to write your reply, and then the GM would read all the replies and put it all together, and then send out another mass email of what happened, and then you would react to that. So there are other forms of like adventure journaling and stuff, but I think this one takes it in a direction that's a little more concise, a little more pointed. You know, you're pushing people in a gentle way. Pushing is the wrong word. You're incentivizing people to write, put their feelings on paper. You know.
Yes, and one thing I would love to just make clear to your audience is like writing is absolutely a major aspect of this, but it isn't the only one. Like right. There's also this mechanic sort of where you pick what's called a calling. And that's just basically like one area of your life that you want to be focusing on over the next couple of months. And this book is designed to last roughly 3 months, give or take, with, you can take longer, you can take shorter. It's
Right.
up to you, but approximately that. But the idea being that like you pick one area of something personal to you, something really important that like you feel like you've been really wanting to work on, but just haven't yet gotten around to doing it. And that could be anything from like, just getting into better shape physically, or just being more creative in general and writing
Yeah.
more. Like it can be very
Anything.
broad.
Drinking more water. Yeah, I mean, healthy, mental, physical.
But ideally, the idea is to pick something that's kind of broad, so that
Right.
there are multiple different things you can do
Right.
within it. And then sort of throughout the journey in the journal, basically every time you do something that is related to that thing that you said you want to improve upon, there's some bonuses, and it sort of helps
Right.
progress the story and helps make your character stronger
Right.
and things like that. So it's not like a super rigid system where you
Right.
list out each like.
Well, you say that right in the beginning. You say like if you write for 3 days and you don't write for another 2 days, no big deal, right?
Right.
Just come
Exactly.
back to it, right? And
Exactly.
it's the old saying: if you do anything more than 3 times over a spirit of 10, it starts to become habitual.
Yeah.
So I think that's and you're creating better habits, right? So
That's
and you're making it cognizant in your mind. Okay, I want to get in better shape, so I'm going to go journal a little bit today and talk about it. And I got a +1 in my strength because I completed this goal. But now I want to go work out because I feel motivated, right? You're hitting those endorphins, you're hitting those synaptics that make you feel good, and so it's cause and effect. It's that domino.
And it's giving you more awareness of
Right.
the fact that actually makes you feel good. Because
Right.
that is one thing that's like a really powerful motivator, is if you notice that the activities that you're doing inherently make you feel better. Like
You'll do them more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's going to ultimately come back to it, or make you come back to it. And like, it can just be hard sometimes to really realize that, like, oh shit, like going to the gym, I feel a lot better after it, or hanging out with friends, even though I'm feeling really like antisocial right now, like I actually feel better after it. And just if you're journaling about those things and tracking them a little bit more, you become more cognizant of that, and then it becomes a more reinforcing reward over time.
Yeah, which is amazing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you. Yeah. One other thing I should mention is that as we started out by saying, my background is sort of in the behavioral science, organizational science, broadly, just like how to form habits and maintain them and all of that stuff. So I've done some research in that area, worked in corporations, as I said, and I tried to kind of distill some of that knowledge into this book, which I think is also one thing that I haven't really seen any other books or anything else doing. So basically the kind of fun idea I came up with was like, what if these sort of behavioral science principles could be viewed as spells? So like it's a concept, and like just in its abstract, it's like a little hard to understand and a little hard to use or whatever. And like, I've read all these different papers and like never really applied them to my life. But what if I could distill it down into a short, like page-long little spell description that then you can actually apply to your life? So there's like 10-ish different spells throughout the book that you can find as you navigate the world. And that can be like something like the habit loop, the spell of the habit loop, which basically is like, you can find a cue that triggers a behavior and a reward that reinforces that behavior. Right. And then the book is like, all right, you found this spell. Try applying it to your life in this way and see if that works for you. And kind of the whole spirit of it is like very experimentational. Yeah. Like I'm not saying this spell is going to work for you or change your life or whatever, but like, hey, you found it, read it, understand it, and then try it out for a bit.
And if it works, great. Right? If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. You move on to try to find the next one. So and that's the RPG part of it that is fascinating. Are you currently gaming? Are you currently playing any games?
Right now, the closest thing to I'm about to start up another D&D campaign. But the closest thing other than that is I've just been playing through Baldur's Gate recently.
Fantastic game.
But yeah,
You,
absolutely been loving it.
yeah.
Other than that, I because I've been stepping into this world of solo RPGs, which I'd actually love to ask you about too. But I have downloaded a couple. Like I got 100 Year Vampire,
Ooh.
Apothecaria, Iron Sworn. So I've just been messing around a little bit just to like get a sense of what other
Yeah.
people are doing, but I haven't full-throatedly committed to anything at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, I'm the forever GM. So I've always been, my mom was my first game master. I was obviously, growing up in Brooklyn, I was a troubled youth. I got into a lot of trouble. My dad was a police officer. He was never home. He was always working. My mom was a, stay-at-home mom with 5 kids. I was the oldest. And so I was hanging out with the wrong kids, doing bad things. And she was in a corner drugstore in Brooklyn, and she saw this Ziploc bag with this white books in it, and it said D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And so my mom was an avid reader. My mom read everything from romance novels to Louis L'Amour to sci-fi, Heinlein and everything. And so, and of course, whatever she read when she was done, she'd give the paperback to me because I was an avid reader when I wasn't out with my hooligan friends. And so she brought this D&D home and she read it. And of course, it captured her imagination. And so she sat us all around the table. My brothers were a little too young for it. I was only at the time like 7 or 8. And so she started running for us, and this is the original D&D. There were no dice. It was all chits that you cut out and you put in a cup and you would draw out, and that was your numbers. And,
Okay.
yeah, it was old school. And that's where my love of RPGs came from. And then
That's beautiful. What a beautiful backstory.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I still have those books, pamphlets. They're not even books. They're locked away. But my point is that sparked a narrative journey in my mind to always tell a story. I'm very verbose. I'm the gift of gab, as they say. And that's part of what this channel is. And what I noticed is my taste fell towards the non-mainstream RPGs. GURPS. GURPS has never been a mainstream RPG, generic universal role-playing system. Or, MERPS, Middle Earth role-playing, or HARN.
Yeah.
Some of these older games. It was everybody plays D&D. Everybody, if you say I play role-playing games, people look at you like, what? But if you say I play D&D, they go, oh, and I lived through the Satanic Panic and everything, So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I was around for Tom Hanks and Mazes and Dungeons, or Mazes and Monsters. Excellent movie. You being a person of the mind, if you've never seen it, you should watch it.
I have not, and
Yeah, it's Tom. It's a very young Tom Hanks. I believe the title was Mazes and Monsters, and it's a young man who has some mental issues, and he delves too deep into the world of. They never come out and call it Dungeons and Dragons, but it's what they're playing, and he goes off the deep end, and it's a very sad story. If you don't cry, you have no heart. But it is, it wasn't made to pick on D&D or anything. It was made to, I think the director's point of view was to try and bring awareness to mental health. And it was just far too early for its time for people to understand what it was for. So it just added to the Satanic Panic,
Fuel to the fire.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, check it out. Tom Hanks. It's a very sad movie, but very emotionally rewarding if you watch it. And but yeah, I think so my channel came about. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. Yeah, and I've always supported the little guys. Jay Lasarde, Feral Games Inc. is a small indie publisher. He does print D&D stuff, but that's to put money on the table. But this guy has a library like you wouldn't believe of games that he's published, and they're all really good. But he's just not well known because he's there's nobody talking about his games, And so.
I mean, it's just even setting out down this path, I knew it would be hard,
Yeah.
but like, just yeah, our information system is so saturated at this point that like, oh man, like just trying to get your signal out there is
Beyond
really,
hard.
really hard. So
Yeah.
I get it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've been working at this pretty hard, like treating it like a full-time job, and it's, still hard to build up a following, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot of time and effort, and there's no guarantees it'll work. So
Yeah. And
we'll see, but
it's not for everybody, and
Yeah.
and because I don't sit here on my channel and talk about D&D, the huge, I don't even know what the numbers are for people that play D&D, but I'm sure it's a lot larger than the people who play Just Roll With It.
yeah,
Right?
now,
For now. Yeah, we're working on that. But yeah, I mean, you get what I'm saying. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I have 1,400 followers on YouTube.
yeah,
I have about 200 on Discord. It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. And I'd say a third of those are people that joined on Discord and they don't participate in the channel. They don't, they're off doing other things. And it's no problem, if they come back every 6 months and, oh, I didn't know about that game, I tend to put all my videos on my Discord down there in the YouTube link of one of the channels. There's a publisher, which I'll make sure that you get rights so that when you start your Kickstarter, you can advertise there in my channel. There's a hashtag publishers. So that'll allow you to, promote there. And hey, maybe you get one sale from it, but that's one more than you would have had if you didn't. Right?
And I don't know. I also think like, this is maybe a little too philosophical for now, but our society is kind of obsessed with scale and like only
Right.
things that can impact thousands of millions of people are worth doing. And I don't know. I think that's just kind of a sad way to look at the world.
It is.
Like just, you never know, like you having a Discord with a couple hundred people in it, like you don't know what impact you're having on those couple hundred lives. Like it could be like a really profound thing. Like someone could shift their life path because of you, and it's hard to say.
I won't mention any names for privacy reasons, but I will tell you that I've had 2 members of my Discord, and they're 2 members that they don't post a lot. They may basically lurk, but they're 2 people that emailed me or messaged me privately and said, thank you for what you do. I look for, one of the guys has really bad health issues. I mean, to the point where he can't function in society on a daily basis. And I look forward to your videos as your demeanor, your attitude, and your presentation make me laugh, make me happy, and give me something to look forward to. And because he's physically handicapped, role-playing games are his escape, right? Because in a role-playing game, he can't walk, but in a role-playing game, he's a paladin riding a horse, slaying dragons, in his mind. And that's the most powerful thing we have is our mind, right? You can bench press 400 pounds, but there will come a day when you can't. And nothing you can do about it will change that. But in your mind, you can always slay that dragon, that's why I do this. I do this for those people. Because like you said, even if you only touch one person, that's one person that maybe tomorrow they take their own life, or they go into a mall and they kill 100 people, or they, write a bad check that ruins, whatever it may be.
Right, yeah.
There's a positivity there that Mr. Mean, Ari, or Joe Blow, who makes X game, is bringing some joy to somebody's life that might just be that little nudge they need to keep moving forward, so.
Exactly.
That's why I do it.
I mean, we live in this beautiful interconnected web of life, and like, who knows which strand leads where, and
it is so
what outcome will come.
It is so amazing, man, to just touch people and know. I can't tell you. I mean, you probably know because you're a publisher, you're a designer, and people tell you your book. Hopefully, if you haven't already, someone's going to come to you and say your book saved my life. And the power. Yeah, and what you feel from that just makes it all worth it. All the nights of staying up till 4 a.m. writing because you knew you had a deadline and you had to get that chapter done, and your wife or your partner being mad at you, or your kid wanting your attention, it all makes it worth it. And so that's why I do this, and I do it for my own mental sanity, because talking to people makes me happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So
I mean, I can feel it right now.
yeah, and I love guys like you, and I don't want to say guys because we have to be politically correct. People,
Yes.
indigenous beings, the sentient creature that is Ari, for creative people like you that allow people like me to have a world to play in. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, just this is maybe a tiny bit off topic, but like just the whole process of building this and designing this, like even if I wasn't trying to turn this into my main source of income down the road, like it still was such a fun process. And
Right.
like if anyone has out there like a creative inclination and likes writing, like I would so encourage people just to mess around with it, even if it goes nowhere. Just like the kind of world building and the writing and coming up with characters and trying to just do some fun game mechanics. It's just been an absolute blast. Like it's felt so amazing to be working on something that hopefully down the road will generate some income. That like it hasn't really felt like much work so far.
Right.
It's just,
well, it's the old saying: when you do something that you love, it's not work. Right.
Yes. Although I will say, I'll caveat that by saying, like, the actual writing of the book has been a blast, but the like trying to get it out on social media and all that stuff,
because that's work.
Yeah, that I have no idea what I'm doing. And
we also have a channel on my Discord for game systems, and then we have the publishers channel, and then we have a help channel. So if you're a young, and this will go out to everybody, but it's obviously for you as well. If you have questions about publication, editing, layout, design, that's the place you can go on there, and you can reach out to other people that will help you, that are stars in the industry. We have the meanies, as I call our Discord. The meanie horde is a awesome bunch of people. They are really good people, and we may be small, but
that way.
Yeah, they're really caring. They and we have no politics. We have no religion talk. We talk about RPGs and the things about RPGs. That's what we talk about. So, and I don't even have a moderator on my channel because I don't need one, because everybody has the wherewithal to say, hey, we don't talk about that. So
that's,
and someone will shut them down, and in a positive, polite way. It's we've had people rage quit, of course. Human nature is that you can't please everyone all the time. But I love it when indie publishers like you come on there, because you've gone through this process up to Kickstarter. May when?
Yep, May 27th.
May 27th. And the stress and the aggravation that goes with dealing, when it's in your head and you're the creative control, everything is perfect, or as perfect as it can be. The moment you put into another person's hands, you lose control, period. So when you click that go live on Kickstarter, it's literally out of your control. It either makes it or breaks it without you. The only thing you can do is help, and coming on channels, and stress. But, talking with me, talking with Gwydion, talking with Solitary RPG, which Mike is a very good friend of mine. He started his channel because of me. He's an avid solo gamer. He's a painter, miniature painter, and him and I are very good friends. I lived in Arizona. I used to go smoke cigars with him in his backyard. He's a great guy.
Mike's been lovely. So enjoying connecting with him.
He's a super cool dude. We send stuff back and forth all the time to each other. If we get something, I send it to him. If he gets something, he sends it to me. He's given me a couple shout outs on his channel. I do the same thing for Gwydion. We're a very small community. We're very tight knit, and it's a lot of really good people. So I think you're in the club now. You're with the cool kids now.
You'll have me.
We'll have you, man. I like how so for those that don't know, I sent Ari a message this morning because he said, hey, I'm done with my errands. I'm free whenever you are. And I said, okay, great. Well, here's a link to my Discord. And he replies back and he's like, I've been on your Discord for a while now. And I was like, dude, I didn't even know. And, it's just one of those things that you can't be everywhere at once. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, to be fair, I was
you're lurking.
Telling you before we started the call, I'm new to Discord, so I don't really have any idea what's going on. So I was just poking around your channel and a couple others, but haven't yet gotten into the habit of actually, yes, I am a lurker. I guess that is one way of saying that.
Well, we're happy to have you. And like I said, check out that hashtag publisher and hashtag help. There'll be a lot of good
Absolutely will.
Yeah. Stephen Turner is in England, in the UK, and he is the owner behind Britannia Games, Chivalry and Sorcery. And so he has a distribution warehouse. So reach out to him and maybe talk to him about distribution. If you want your product overseas, he might be able to help you, that kind of thing. So obviously, Mike from Solitary, Gwydion. So yeah, we're going to continue to keep an eye on your thing. I encourage you to go on the publisher's thing and put a link to your Kickstarter when it goes live.
Okay.
Maybe like 2 days before, so people can click to get notified, because Kickstarter has that option. My biggest advice for Kickstarter is don't promise too much, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple. The KISS analogy, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid. There's so many Kickstarters that fail because they offer too much, right? This stretch goal. You don't need stretch goals. If you say clearly and concisely what you're trying to do, the people who are serious about supporting you will, and so you don't have to put a carrot in front of their face to get them to support you. If the product is solid and it's good, they would, they will, and especially in this uncertain time.
Like how motivating is like a set of stickers or I don't know, like, a lot of the add-ons, it's like, okay,
It's nice to have, but do you need that? If the product is good, you don't need all of that, and so I think you have a good product. So I know
that's fine.
Mr. Mean will try to support it as best we can. So I think we've beat the game to death enough. Now we get to the tough probing questions, if you're ready.
Let's do it.
These are really hard, thought-provoking. There's a couple of questions that I ask all my interviewees, and again, this is all tongue-in-cheek. So you're not new to role-playing games. You've played D&D, right?
I have played D&D.
Yeah. Have you experienced any other role-playing games? A couple?
Yes. But a long time ago, and I when I was in high school, so I would not be.
So last week.
Yeah, exactly. No.
You look so young. No, I'm picking on you. All right. So my first deep thought probing question is, if you could, what's the one game you wish you would have created?
Oh, wow. That is a great question.
And it could be a board game if that's more your.
In terms of board games, I've been playing. I really like kind of the coup type, Citadels type, those sorts of card games. Where there's like some kind of like mechanic of going around in a circle and you're trying to suss out who's who.
Yeah.
That like Citadels has been my recent go-to board game. But then I also just started playing Blood on the Clock Tower. I don't know if you.
No, I've never heard of
that. Okay, you should check that out.
Board game or RPG?
No, it's more of like a social deduction game.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it is like, it's just a beautiful product. It comes with this like massive tome, and there's like just so many fun pieces, and it's the most expansive, hilarious, challenging social deduction game I've ever played. So would highly recommend.
Send me a link.
Because it's aesthetically so fun.
I love stuff like that. Obviously we're tactile people. We love things that we can touch and manipulate and play with. So yeah, put a link on the Discord there and send it to me. I'd love to check it out. So the next deep thought probing question, and this one requires a little bit of thought. Any person, past or present, that you could sit down with and game with, who would it be? Alive or dead? Anybody.
This is such a funny question. I don't know if he played games, but the first thing that instantly came to mind is Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes.
That would, man, That would be a riot.
He's just such a funny, like, creative dude, and I bet you he would just tell like the crazy stories and be able to think on his feet incredibly well. And he's just such a fascinating character. I don't know if you know this little tidbit of history, but like he, published all his books, became super like wealthy, and then just like walked away from it all. Like he didn't license any of his products to anybody.
Yeah.
He just like
Just
wrote the
closed
book
shop.
and disappeared into a cabin to the woods and just like lived.
Perfect life.
Yeah.
Perfect life. That is awesome. That's a very good answer. Okay, so then the next one, this one's a little easier. Not much. You're on an airplane. You're traveling.
Yep.
You're by yourself, private jet, whatever. You're by yourself. You're going to crash land.
Of course, private, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Because Just Roll With It has just made billions of dollars, and you're now you're the Bill Gates of role-playing games.
There you go.
The plane is crashing on a deserted desert island. You're going to live there for the rest of your days with no hope of rescue. What's the one role-playing game you bring with you? You can only have one.
And I'm alone, so I can't do Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, I mean, Tom Hanks had Walter, or whatever his name was, the ball. What was the ball's name? Henry?
Yeah.
You could put faces on the coconuts,
I mean, do I have my computer so I can...
No, well, maybe for a couple of hours, and hopefully it's waterproof.
For real. No, I mean, I honestly have not played enough solo RPG games to be able to answer this question with the honor it deserves. I would say I've just been poking around Iron Sworn recently and kind of started messing around with that.
It's a good one.
And I'm fascinated, and I think that would be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go with that for now.
Okay, that's and there is no right answer. Here's the thing, it's one of those trick questions. There is no right answer.
But you're catching me at an interesting phase in my life of me, like, I'm coming to this from the kind of psychology science perspective of it,
Right.
much less the gaming perspective, though, like, obviously loving games and playing a lot of board game video games, but I'm not going to be the most well-versed.
No, you don't have to be. No, and you know what? One of my guys, Dave Certified, that's his name, he wrote a superhero game. He said he would just bring pen and paper. That's all he needs.
That's awesome.
Which I thought was a great
answer.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good answer. Obviously,
or just go with it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say that, because that's a good one. Because let's face it, you can carve dice out of rocks.
Very true.
Sure,
Or bones.
Or bones. Yeah, hopefully not your own though. That'd be a little morbid. Yeah. But. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I do, man. Those are the deep thought probing questions. Yeah, I kind of like them. I love what you do, man. I think it's really cool. I know it took a lot for us to get together. I had a lot of health issues the last couple of months. I'm actually feeling a lot better. Of course, I have an autistic child, and so that poses problems in and of itself. I'm surprised. He usually likes to come down here and photobomb. Mom's awake, so he's hanging out with mom. But, thank you for taking this time. We've chatted for a little bit over an hour. And it means a lot for you to grace the presence of this small channel. So I thank you very much. Everybody's time is, it's the one thing we have that we don't have enough of. You can always come and get money, but you can't get more time. So the fact that you spend, an hour of your life with me, it means a lot. So thank you very much. I encourage all the meanies out there to go check out his product. It's super cool. I didn't think it was for me until I started doing it, and I kind of got into it. I'm very cynical and grumpy and old, hence the nickname Mr. Mean. So if you think it's not something you'll enjoy, just give it a try. Maybe you'll find something new about yourself that you didn't know. And that's always a cool thing. So, Ari, I appreciate you. I thank you. I want you to keep up the great work. Keep us advised of all the cool stuff you're putting out. Where can our followers find you on your socials? Where do you hang out if people want to bug you? Aside from my Discord.
I got a YouTube channel running pretty recently. It's paradox.port, which is the same as my Instagram, also paradox.port. Yeah, you should be able to find me there. I'm trying to upload a couple of videos. I've been doing a lot of like kind of silly sketches of like different D&D characters trying to go on personal growth journeys and some of the hilarities that ensue from there. So I've just been trying to be creative with it and fun. And then I have yet to announce this as well, but I am also going to be creating a Discord channel for everyone who's
Awesome.
following me on the
Socials.
Kickstarter and all of that. So yeah, I'd say those would be the main ways. Oh, and then if you go to the website, which is paradoxport.com, if you join the email list there, you'll be notified of all of the various happenings that are coming up. So encourage everyone to do that.
Yeah.
And just Mr. Mean, John, thank you so much for having me here. The time you dedicated was also greatly appreciated, and thank you for inviting me to this community. It's amazing.
Oh man, make sure you put all your links, in the message to me here on Discord so that I can cut and paste them and put them into the video that we'll post on YouTube probably Wednesday of this week. Yeah, that way, especially your YouTube channel. If you have a Patreon or a Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi is the new. It used to be Buy Me a Coffee. I don't know if you're. It's Ko-Fi now. They bought the company or whatever. But that's another way for people to support you. And it doesn't really, they take a cut of what you make, but it's not bad. And there's no monthly fee or anything like that, and they don't annoy you like Patreon does. I'm not a fan of Patreon, but it's a necessary evil. Yeah, it's a necessary evil though. So Kickstarter, May 27th?
Exactly.
May 27th. Yeah. Do you do conventions? Do you do game conventions or anything, or is that something on the future?
Yeah.
I don't know what part of the country you're in, so
that's actually funny you ask. I am currently not in the country. I actually live in Portugal now.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I'm from Seattle.
My condolences.
Yeah. Love it there, great place. But my partner, my girlfriend is Portuguese. So
oh, awesome!
Come over here. So yeah,
great.
But given that the fact that I am in Portugal, most of the game conferences I will be attending will be in Europe. So
okay, great.
The UK Games Expo.
Oh, that's awesome. So you'll get to meet my buddy Stephen Turner.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely go stop by the Britannia booth and tell him Mr. Mean sent you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Britannia, yeah. Amazing.
Britannia, yeah. He's Stephen is a beautiful human being. You'll like him a lot. He's a wonderful guy. So, and he will do whatever he can to help you. He's just that kind of a good person. So, and he's older than me, which is saying a lot. And I'm not even the oldest member on the team. Yeah, 60's not that bad. I'm not 60 yet. I got another year to go. But I'm feeling good, man. So, Ari, anything else you want to let our viewers know?
No, I think that's it. Kickstarter, socials. I'll be at the UK Games Expo. If any of you all see this and want to say hi, feel free to shoot me a message and we can hang out. I can show you the journal in person. And yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Stay on the channel, poke around, make yourself known. Word of mouth is the best advertisement, as the old saying goes. Use that hashtag publishers to promote your Kickstarter. I will, once it goes out and I get a physical copy in my hand, I will do a physical review. So all I can say is thank you, sir, for this time. And thank you so much. And we're going to fade to black. Ari and I will chat for a few more minutes. This will be live on Moonstone as soon as they Moonbeam as soon as they encode it and upload it, and then it'll be up on YouTube Wednesday of this week coming. So everyone, so much as always, thank you for watching. Peace and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean says, be nice.